together as one community can help to create solidarity in addressing COVID-19. Need help and support? Please contact us at the hotline 311 Psychosocial Support at 722-6575 or 518-4157. Brought to you by PAHO, the OACS Commission, and UNICEF.
I can't stay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is Thursday, April 1st, 2021, and I just, I feel a certain sense of, happiness since we're in the best month. April is where it's at, I think, and everybody born in this month, I think they have something special about them. Yeah. So for those of you listening to us on Hits FM 92.1 and 91.1 FM, as always, good morning, blessed love to you. Also, if you are watching us on the different social media programs, platforms where we are streaming at this moment, the newest is YouTube, where we are now. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Twitch, and of course, where the Roro resides, if you're on Facebook, good morning to you. And for those who celebrate it, do you say Happy Holy Thursday? Well, I bestow that upon you as well then. If you're also watching us on television, wherever you are, if you're home or at work or whatever, I appreciate you guys watching us on channel 124 on Flow, that is UTV Underground Television. Okay, so like I always say, we're going to get into it, but before we do, let me say a special good morning to everyone in Viewfort, especially those of you, like I always say, at Viewfort Comfrey. I know you guys are always watching, and I really do appreciate that, especially the students too. I hear that many students, when they're waiting for their classes, that they're waiting to watch the show as well. So I appreciate that, and good morning to all of you. Now, we've had a lot of the discussions where we're talking about what's there for us, and we're seeing everything that is supposed to be for us, everything that's supposed to be for nationals being given away. And I think we have some new information from Invest St. Lucia on what's being done in the south of the island. I know we're going to hear it about people boasting about the investments and of course the renderings and more renderings and all of that. We'll get into that soon. But first, let's take a look at how we got there and what we are to expect. The influx, I think, of foreigners that are expected to be on this island. They will create a new workforce of such in the south. But let's take a look.
And this is what I find most bizarre, that the government has decided that Chinese nationals do not require visas to come to St. Lucia. There were actually no conditions set for the entry of Chinese to St. Lucia. The document said that Cabinet took into consideration the geostrategic, the geopolitical, economic, and national security interests of St. Lucia before deciding to allow almost 2 billion people carte blanche right to enter St. Lucia. Almost, you can take away a couple million, 100 millions, but it's almost 2 billion persons. And we need to ask the question, why? What is the imperative? What is the raison d'etre for this government to decide that there will be absolutely no restrictions on Chinese to enter St. Lucia? What is motivating it?
How much is the number of people that are ultimately coming through? And is there any mechanism for a Chinese citizen to fly non-stop to St. Lucia? So in fact, many of the Chinese who are coming to St. Lucia, some of them, most of them, all of them, have to either go through Europe or have to go through the United States of America or through Canada in order to be able to get to St. Lucia. So from a security risk perspective, the security is reduced dramatically. The second thing is that they're here on vacation, like everybody else. Then I hear this interesting argument. Do we have a diplomatic relationship with China, and therefore is it a prerequisite in order to be able to give them visa-free access to St. Lucia? Well, we have visa-free access for Canadians. Do St. Lucians get to go to Canada visa-free? We have a visa-free to the United States of America. Do St. Lucians get to go to America visa-free?
But we also need to ask the question. We do not have diplomatic relations with mainland China. And you want to ask the question, is this an exemption only for Chinese on Taiwan? Or is it for any Chinese?
But as I said, there is no arrangements to bring any Chinese workers into St. Lucia to work for anything.
We have been in discussions with construction companies from China.
But as I said, there is no arrangements to bring any Chinese workers into St. Lucia to work for anything.
Mr. Aking is looking at the possibility of using Chinese construction companies for his development.
And there is no agreement or no arrangement with Mr. Teo Aking to bring any Chinese people to come and work.
I'm very grateful to the Chinese government.
Want to bring Chinese down.
Zhang Tang, Vice President of Galaxy Group, explained the layout of the resort.
Dreams Resort and Spa offers high level of luxury for couples and couples with children in ideal beachfront setting. On canals.
70% Chinese workers in a free country. When you saying as a government the unemployment rate is high, right? You get an opportunity, a hotel is coming to get your local people in work. You give them 70% of Chinese. What's going on here?
And why did Lausanne choose St. Lucia? Because St. Lucia has a very friendly immigration policy.
And all Chinese nationals all over the world, the right to enter St. Lucia with no visas, absolutely no restrictions and no conditions imposed upon them.
I don't know if you all observe in View Fort, there has been an influx of Chinese down there. They're hitting the bars, they're doing everything down there now.
That when people say I am from View Fort, soon people will not know View Fort. You are from the Pearl of the Caribbean.
Boy, also.
So, listen, we need to remind ourselves of all the discussions that have gone on around that. And yes, the discussions about unemployment, discussions on development, and also discussions on our patrimony, on our land, and it being given away to investors. Other people like to call it leeches, including myself. The people that we say that, you know, they're coming down with investments. I have seen none of that yet. And I have to say, as someone from View Fort, it continues to irk me and anger me that much of our land, prime real estate, prime land, is being given away, if you're going to call it that, to foreigners like Teo Aking, and he's already, you know, trying to sell out by lots and all that sort of things happening there, and we just have to take it. And even then with the DSH, think of some sort of investment, some sort of development that this administration has, you know, they've said that they've done for our betterment, and how really has it benefited us? Not the Pinkley Francises and these sort of people that always, their bread always butter, but us, how has it benefited us? And I think too, it was really interesting now to hear Invest St. Lucia speak now. You know, the time coming, so you have to show things, you have to show the renderings, you know, fair bagay, egg here, Sebel Moon. So we're going to take a look at what's in store for the people of Mico.
Invest St. Lucia has breathed new life into the previously abandoned Canals Development Project, and an Asian-owned real estate company, Caribbean Galaxy Group, has inked a multi-million-dollar deal with the government to construct 2 sprawling luxury resorts at the canal site in Mico. The COVID-19 pandemic has delayed the start of canals construction. However, once completed and operational, several new jobs could become available to scores of St. Lucians. a plus for Invest St. Lucia and the economy. Now, the preferred construction arrangement for any development venture, according to Invest St. Lucia executives, would be to use St. Lucian companies and laborers. However, where Canals is concerned, Caribbean Galaxy Group has opted to fly in most of their workforce.
NBC Prime obtained footage of a recently built compound reportedly constructed for the purposes of housing foreign workers.
If, say, I know you've been running away from it, but if, say, an investor comes and he says that I want to have 1,000 or 90% people from X country that are not St. Lucians, Invest St. Lucia would then say no. Okay, you can put it in your proposal, but we will not recommend a project that does not benefit St. Lucians and St. Lucian employment. Although we're not necessarily the ones signing the contract, we as a government agency responsible for investments do have an opinion, and we would have no issues in giving that opinion.
That opinion is presumably considered by the Cabinet of Ministers, who ultimately determines whether to proceed with a development project. Canals has been earmarked for touristic development since 2007. The ensuing decades-long and at times controversial attempts to lock in an investor came to fruition in 2019.
This is the fruit of visionary leadership, hard work, time, policy making, bold partnership, and extensive promotion.
A groundbreaking ceremony for Caribbean Galaxy Group's Canals Resort Development Project, hosted by the government, was held more than a year ago, last January.
This is a development that we can support.
Caribbean Galaxy Group will transform hundreds of acres of pristine coastal Miku land into high-end vacation suites and condominiums. The lucrative contracts to build Galaxy Group's Canals Resort, however, appear destined for outside workers. Invest St. Lucia Chairman Binkley Francis is hoping to change that.
I was privy to the contract that Canals had with AM Resorts, and they were very, very strict timelines. They have been eager to come to St. Lucia and they want to see it happen now, right? So they had to deliver that project within a specified period of time. Very unrealistic in my mind, but I think it was ambitious, but they felt they could do it. The best option was to bring in labor from outside. So we did negotiate with them very, very hard. And obviously, myself, the Prime Minister, it's St. Lucia first. So we need to make sure that our people get the jobs first, right? And especially you're aware that it is a CIP project. So our position was that 80% of the employees has to be St. Lucians, right? And that is where we were with that, right? I believe since the pandemic, the project has pretty much slowed down. They have committed to moving ahead with the project, but there is definitely an opportunity to revisit that. We have people available right now because a lot of the project has slowed, right? And when we do decide to start that project again, it will be a different conversation.
NBC Prime understands the compound built not too far from the Canals Resort site at Miku is currently uninhabited. Now, sources close to the project claim the workers expected to occupy the living quarters will come from parts of Asia.
What was the ideal quota? I mean, what was the ideal quota for, let's say, negotiating on the amount of workers?
I'll tell you
50,
what I want is 100% St. Lucians. That is my ideal quota.
Rihani Izudo, NBC Prime.
You'll tell me what you think about that, hearing people who are part of Invest St. Lucia speak and really say, you know what, they're in no real place of negotiation. If the people say they want 90%, 90% to be from foreigners, foreign workers coming down, foreign companies coming down, then, they have no point at which they can really negotiate. And it just really shows me that in all of this, and especially for us in the South, I know up north, Cabo, so I think around the country, but when I'm looking at it, when you're getting land And I cannot even really blame these so-called investors, because if you go into here, they have a bois in St. Lucia, a bois somewhere, and you can get land for cheap, and you know, people just let anything run. You'll go there because it will be better for you. You are a businessman, supposed to be a businessman, that's what you will do. The onus right now is on us as people, on this administration, on the government to really protect our interests, and we are not seeing that. Instead, what I am seeing, what we're experiencing, is people taking land, taking our land. We can't even work on it. They will bring their own workers. The only thing we might do, maybe they'll let us be a maid, maybe they'll make us be a butler, maybe we can shovel horse shit in the DSH, but we cannot have our horses on the racetrack. We cannot have anything. We cannot have lots. We cannot invest in any of our lands. You know, let's borrow NIC money, and you know, let's not put any of the profits to ourselves. Let's make everybody make hundreds of millions, but we'll get about 30. How? From somebody who claimed to be a businessman and would run the country as a business. Even then, what kind of person, what kind of people would allow that? And this investing, Lucia, from the people from the south. And now I also have to ask people from Miku. I know it looks nice. The renderings are always beautiful. It looks like Miami Vice, you know, whatever. But is this what we need at this time? And even then, when you're seeing that compound, even the machinery, you can't even understand what's on it because it's in Mandarin or whatever. You do not know. We do not know anything. We're going to allow people, even when hundreds of people are unemployed during COVID, we're talking about bringing people in, and we don't have, you know, we would want 100% solutions, but hey, if you can't get it, what are you going to do? Right now, it is pathetic. It is pathetic as a country. Every day, I have to come on the show every day. We have to talk every day. We know the issues, and you will still have the hot hacks that will say some of this is justifiable. How can you defend the indefensible? It's sick. It's wrong. And I think too, for many people, like what we're seeing over there in Cabot and other places, you wonder as a young person, you know, what's in it for you? Do you not deserve a nice place by a beach too? Can you not have a nice lot of land? Everything has to be you quispe, or build on your mother house or whatever. Is this what we're allowing our people to really see for themselves? Everything has to be given away. All the best of St. Lucia has to be given away, and all we have to do is just be in servile positions. That is not right. And I want us to remember too that when we remember that it is this administration, the United Workers' Party, if we're going to be quite frank, allowing this to happen. And we too, agreeing with it. And I know people in Miku, I know most of where you stand, we know the history of it, but how can we allow ourselves to be in a position where many of us, and I've been there, that many people are unemployed, sitting by the road and everything else, and we're sitting there allowing people to talk about employment and bringing others down. That's insane. But we continue to hear it. We continue with the Cabot discussions and DSH and, you know, Il Pirata, all kinds of land in Pitos, everything being taken away. And I think we have come where this is the last straw. We cannot take anymore. We cannot take anymore. We'll be right back.
I can't stay.
Welcome to the entertainment nation on steroids. UTV and Hits FM sinking the eyes and the ears of tomorrow today. Not only can you see it, you can feel it. Airing on channel 124 or tune into radio 92.1 FM is Tresha Lionel in the morning at 11. Also airing live with Lisa and the ever controversial Revolution with Christopher Hunt. That's right, we don't do it normal. Stay locked in with UTV and Hits FM, channel 124 and 92.1 FM. UTV, TV for you.
Driver, pas de bout de bain dans ça là, hein? Yo ka pon vie bagay COVID sa, sort à l'hôpital la ko yo ka tay, et yo ka mene yo come in la ba moun.
Them people not supposed to be boarding sympathy first. You never know what they have.
If that nurse board the bus, I going down.
Madam, think before you speak. These are the same people who take care of us. All of us. They have their own families to go back to. And still, they put themselves on the front line for us. And you want to discriminate against them? Awa. Not on my bus. I just can't do it, eh? You making me finish all my good English on you.
Good morning.
My lady, thank you so much for all the sacrifices you all make. Together, we must win this war.
Together we can beat this corona. I can't stay.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us. Now, we have to listen, and you'll forgive me. I know it'll be more madness from our ministers, but you know, it is what they're saying, and it is the reality. And this show is nothing if not honest. So, okay, this is serious stuff. Okay, so we have our minister on a show last night defending something that I also think is indefensible, but you know what? Let's just listen first.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Ms. Belrose.
Hi, good evening, my dear.
And how are you?
Always fine, thanks.
Wonderful. Ms. Belrose, your husband has been seen driving you around on government business.
Yes.
Is he employed by the government?
Yes.
To render his service?
Yes, he is employed by the government. I did not believe that I could have been an effective minister without having my husband with me on this journey. And so I spoke to my Prime Minister. I spoke about my trepidations and everything else with respect to that job. And he did say to me, okay, I will facilitate. And that's what a good Prime Minister does. He listens, he understands the dynamics of the situation, and he provides the support to make it happen. So my driver is a young man who was given, I say young man, he was given all his life of service to St. Lucia as well. He was a national athlete for a number of years, and one of the best athletes St. Lucia had in 1980.
I don't really want to know about him.
I
would prefer to know more about you.
Now, when I saw that last night, I was awed that is what you're saying. And we said it here on the show before that, you know, Fortuna has her husband as her driver. And I was more the thing of, you know, that's kind of, as a woman, I don't see how that would work for me. But, you know, do you, boo, if you want to. But when you really listen to it and you hear what is being said there and her defending it, I think that the same song that played in my head was the same one that happened when Yali and them were talking about it earlier today. Let's take a look.
And if you love him, oh, be proud of him. 'Cause after all, he's just a man. Stand by your man. Give him two arms to cling to, and something warm to come to when nights are cold and lonely. Stand by your man and show the world you love him. Keep giving all the love you can. Stand by your man.
Now that reminds me when my grandmother used to take me to the Ver in Viewfort to dance Western. Okay, so we're talking serious things now, but it also makes me think too, you know, people say, you know, when people in certain positions, they're sleeping with the subordinates and the workers, but I guess in that case, it's okay. I don't know. I don't know. And it also shows too that, you know, we talk about men a lot, but I guess if you give women the power, women the position, they'll be just as chauvinistic as men. Listen, on the surface of it, it's funny. On the surface of it, it's, you know, yeah, it's comical almost, but there are so many issues, underlying issues there, and some underlying, but some really out there and blatant. Let's listen to that again.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Ms. Belrose.
Hi, good evening, my dear.
And how are you?
Always fine, thanks.
Wonderful. Ms. Belrose, your husband has been seen driving you around on government business.
Yes.
Is he employed by the government?
Yes.
To render his service?
Yes, he is employed by the government. I did not believe that I could have been an effective minister without having my husband with me on this journey. And so I spoke to my Prime Minister. I spoke about my trepidations and everything else with respect to that job. And he did say to me, okay, I will facilitate. And that's what a good Prime Minister does. He listens, he understands the dynamics of the situation, and he provides the support to make it happen. So my driver is a young man who was given, I say young man, he was given all his life of service to St. Lucia as well. He was a national athlete for a number of years, and one of the best athletes St. Lucia had in 1980.
I don't really want to
Yes.
know about him.
Yes.
I would prefer to know more about you.
Okay, so you have someone, a minister, saying that her husband, she asked the Prime Minister if her husband could get a job driving her around. We are paying for Fortuna to give her man a blight, if we're going to put it, you know, quite bluntly. This is what's going on. But it also says that the Prime Minister is also willing. That's what I think. Tout se moun sa yo bien joine. All of them have the same sort of thinking. You know what it takes, and we've seen that so many times before, the conflict of interest, the nepotism right there in your face, and you're defending it. The Fortuna Belrose gets, and you're a public official, so we can put it right out there. You're getting one set of money as a senator, you're getting another set of money as being a minister, you're getting your other set of money as a pensioner when you are PS, you're a public servant or whatever, you pension already. All of that equates to almost $20,000, and you still need to give your husband a job. When, if we're going to be very honest, there are thousands of young people there looking for a job. They wouldn't want to be a driver too. All of these little opportunities, these are the things that break down society, break down institutions. And she's saying it like, it's, like it's nothing, like she's blasé about it, but this is a serious issue. And it's wrong, and you can see, you can go to a Prime Minister and tell him to give, and even if you do say that, I mean, put him someplace else, sir. That is so disrespectful to us as a country. That is what is going on there, and as if we are wrong. We're seeing too much of something that there's nothing wrong with that. There is something very, very wrong with that, and that's what we get to know. That's what we know. There are many issues too that we understood with not just Fortuna, but for other candidates who went up the last election and lost. Fortuna, Mary, others. These constituencies and the district reps, they have for a very long time complained bitterly that they are not getting the assistance, financial assistance they need to assist in their constituency. And I remember that going as far back as 2017. Right now we're talking about laptops and the other funds that are needed. But from the very beginning, from the onset of things like STEP, we can remember that. Let's take a look.
Opposition parliamentarians claim that as the representatives for their constituencies, they have not been consulted about ongoing initiatives within their jurisdictions. The MPs cite in particular the government's roadside caretaker program. The caretaker program, which started on September 12, runs until December 31st. The aim of the project, like its predecessor STEP, is to keep roadsides and drains unobstructed by low-hanging or overgrown foliage.
We are the free MPs here. there is step work going on in our constituency. Not one of us, I don't know if Dr. Hill has been called.
No, I have been calling asking for.
Have you been called?
No, sir.
Right. Not one of us have been given 1 cent of step work. Constituents come to us all the time. So how can a government speak about being transparent and being for St. Lucia, where you have 6 parliamentarians who won their seats, but what's happening is work is going on in the constituencies, and that work is being dictated by people who lost elections.
Both the Castries East MP and the Castries South MP expressed their disappointment with the state of affairs in their constituencies.
What I see is a few garbage truths being built, which the people at the waste disposal have said that they think that that's a bad idea. What I see is more grass all over. If you go to Enchipo, you see, look for yourself. If you go, you'll see grass, and the constituency has never been that dirty.
You go to some parts of Cicero, and the animals spread out the solid waste. I mean, you have school children, you have residents having to wait on the road for bus. It is totally disgusting. And they talk about the overgrown trees and the bush. I mean, drive on Millennium Highway. I mean, have you ever seen Millennium Highway as dirty and untidy as it is right now?
Senator Fortuna Belrose, in explaining her presence at the Marshall Community Center on Friday, says her administration is encouraging community cleanliness. Castries East, she insists, has had a myriad of issues with respect to maintaining cleanliness within the constituency. According to the UWP senator, she is not dishing out work.
Why? Why do we have someone who is not a district rep? And from the very onset, that has been happening. But you can see it right now with the COVID and people needing laptops, and she's giving out laptops on behalf of the constituency as the district rep almost. Even the adverts that she has on for her political ads, people speaking as if, you know, she's a district rep. Like, this is so distasteful. It is more than distasteful, it's wrong, it's criminal, it took bagay. But I think it's important that we look back from even then, because now you hear with the press conferences of the SLP that they're still complaining about that. But I think it's also important that we hear Fortuna once again, because it's very revealing where her mind is, and not just her mind, but the mindset of this administration. What we have known all along, she has voiced. We've said it here, you know it in your soul and in your heart. But I think Fortuna, for the first time, has spoken in a way that we understand, but she's also speaking the truth of her own feelings and what's happening with this administration about everything. So let's listen.
Promises you made. You and the Prime Minister walked through the George Charles Boulevard in 2016, and you made a number of promises to the people, but none of those have been fulfilled, and your government is actually in power.
Well, hold a sec, my lady.
Also, Ms. Belrose, I just want to know about the curfew, the 3 p.m. curfew on Sunday and Monday. What are your views on that, and why is that curfew? I would like you to explain that to me. And I also want to ask you, Ms. Belrose, to tell us a little about the health system. What is happening in light of the coronavirus, and there are so many complaints about the health system. The other thing I want to ask you as well is what are you doing in Castries East for the single mothers? People are hungry, Ms. Belrose. What are you providing to them? What are you giving to those single mothers who have those children? Why isn't the internet at the Touche Park working to facilitate
Sounds like I'm the representative.
those kids? Because it used to be working, Ms. Belrose. These are the things I want you to speak about. Thank you.
Very good. I enjoy every question of yours. And I just want to say on a number of them. The first one, you talked about the Prime Minister and myself walked in the boulevard. I mentioned earlier that when you elect a government, you elect them on the basis of the policies and programs that they set out. The people of Castries East categorically chose to reject the United Workers' Party.
Just hold the line, caller. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying the people of Castries East chose categorically to reject the United Workers' Party at the last election. Yeah? 11 other constituencies said to the United Workers' Party, yes, we want to build a new St. Lucia with you, we are on the road with you, and we'll be working with you. And so the government sought to invest in those communities where they bought into the philosophy and thinking, you understand, of the government. It's very important that a community buys into the vision. When the Prime Minister came in, we just did a tour of the constituency. We made no promises. No promises at all were made. Because I'm a community worker and I understand when you raise people's expectations, the challenge it can pose for you. So we did make promises.
Just before you go, Minister.
Yes.
The other thing too is that added to that, there is that dynamic.
Yes.
That while she's saying that certain things you could have done, when you would have tried to intervene and do things, then you have the popular saying by the other side, you were selected and not elected, and so you know there's interference.
Yeah, but even that, I'm not even too worried about that, because
the point I want to make is that when government tries to intervene in opposition constituencies, there's a lot of resistance.
Right.
Because they're saying that, you know, in terms of getting things done as well.
Yeah. But I think the critical thing is people must understand that you selected Mr. Philip J. Pierre to represent you in Castries East. His job does not end on election day. His job is for 5 years. And so even if I had interest as a community person in the community, the representative of the constituency is Mr. Philip J. Pierre. And you know, Ricky, that's why...
And he sits in Parliament.
And he sits in Parliament, he talks...
And he says you go wrong your laptop.
Let me tell you something. Mr. Pierre has a responsibility to write to the government on any matter that he wants. He can't just go and speak and spoke and spoke. No. If you're representing the people, there is an issue in your constituency, you need to sit down, put pen to paper to the right person and send it in to them. That's what representation is all about. And then you can show the people, look, I wrote to them. I wrote and I didn't get any support for the projects in the boulevard. I've written. You know, that's what you need to do. I've written and I've not seen anything. So he's the parliamentary rep and I never took that away from him. He is the rep for Castries East, not Fortuna Belrose. What Fortuna Belrose does is to respond to the needs of the community when they come to me. That's what I do, and I do it very well. And so perhaps that's why there's a little shikar now, but the fact is, if you come to me, you get total quality service. You know, good quality service you get. So let's make that abundantly clear. Mrs. Belrose is about servicing the people. Mr. Pierre had his responsibility to represent his constituency in every sphere of the word. You know, and having said that though, when I wrote to Mr. Pierre, I wrote, well, my ministry, because we have to do projects in communities with respect to our portfolios. We would write to him, and of course he would support, generally support. So what I don't understand is why when he wants something done, he's not writing. He needs to write and make your statement, write to the Prime Minister. Express your desire to see things happen. And then, of course, there's a process that one has to follow. But don't believe that you can just sit in a wild chair, you know, and ask for things to be done and it should be done right away. No, it doesn't work that way. We live in a country with limited resources, and so one has to prioritize all times. And so it must be done in that way. At least that is my thinking, my understanding, you know, of the way the system works. Put pen to paper and let the people know that you have written, and not just written to the right person to make it happen.
Somebody.
What did you think hearing that? I think for a woman, for anyone, for that matter, to sit there and take over someone's constituency, sit there giving out laptops, signing papers, signing checks, doing things, you know, as if you're the district rep. And when somebody asks you, what are your plans? Why haven't you done things? You say, but I'm not the district rep. I think that is so abhorrent. It's wrong. It is. I don't even know where to start with this one. So we'll start where she's saying that Castries East rejected the United Workers' Party. And so they had to look at the other 11 constituencies that believed in them and believed in the vision of Shasney. So that is why nothing has been happening in the constituencies. And we know that for a fact. We've heard the opposition parliamentarians, we've heard Dr. Anthony say it, we've heard Dr. Iles say it, we've heard Philip J. Pierre say it, we've heard Musa say it, and of course the others say the same thing, that they are being sidelined, they're not being given anything. And we hear Fortuna admit that that is the thinking of this administration. But again, the myopic way that these people are thinking and they're looking at things, aren't we all solutions? Aren't we all paying taxes? The people that voted for you and the people that didn't, don't they deserve to be looked after and, you know, being addressed in a proper way instead of punishing people for where they wanted to put their vote? And I always thought that, you know, again, women would have more compassion. They would be, you know, they would be smarter than men, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But that is not the case. I think Fortuna and Chasney, ek yo tout, yo biejwen. Pour pini moun, pis yo pa vote bao. We'll open the lines at 572-7588. And it's also, for me, raising a lot of questions when she's saying, you know, you don't raise people's expectations. She said that as well. So you're not making promises because you don't have to raise people's expectations because that will not be good for you. I think you are averse to any sort of accountability, that you rob people, that you deprive people, and if they're going to ask you, you know, you promised that, then, you know, you can say at least you didn't promise anything. I don't know what kind of governance that is. I don't understand how Fortuna can tell the Prime Minister she wants her husband as the driver. Something that has to go through the Public Service Commission. Something the Prime Minister should have no sort of word in, edgewise, in any way, and that can happen. So again, it's showing many of the different levels of corruption, if we're going to be quite honest with this. The Public Service Commission, they're the ones, and you have thousands of people sending their applications, and you know your husband can jump over all of these young people, all of these other people that are waiting. They're going through it the right way. They have no godmother, nobody to ask anything. All they have is their merit, their skill, their qualifications, and they're sending it. But you know what? Just my husband need a job there, and the Prime Minister can say, sure, why not? And then what is the Public Service Commission there for? Let's take the call. Good morning.
Morning, Tresha.
Morning, sir.
Tresha, you're absolutely right when you say that what Fortuna Belrose voiced is the attitude of this entire United Workers' Party government. That is the thinking, that is the attitude that, look, if you didn't vote for me, you voted for opposition, for any opposition parliamentarian, then we shouldn't do anything for you. You shouldn't expect that we're going to do anything in any of the communities within those constituencies that didn't vote for us. Because you didn't, as she said, buy into the vision of the Prime Minister. Tresha, this is wickedness. It is wickedness, because when the people of St. Lucia vote for a party to put into government, and we know that we're operating the first past the post system, meaning that with 17 constituencies, once a party gets 9 out of the 17, that party forms the government. When a party forms the government, that government must work for all St. Lucians, not for a few, not for those constituencies, you know, that you voted them in. And the irony in that, Tresha, is they're not voting for those, they're not working for those people who voted them in. They're voting for their friends, family, and select foreigners. And it is clear. And those who cannot see that, they must be blind. Blind. You know, I mean, Tresha, when Fortuna Belrose says that Philip J. Pierre is the representative for Castries East, she's right. She's absolutely right. But does Fortuna Belrose expect that the work that needs to be done in Castries East, Philip J. Pierre must find money, the monies that are needed to do what is required to be done in terms of Castries East to take care of the needs of the people of Castries East, their concerns, that Philip J. Pierre must be the one to provide those monies? I mean, for crying out loud, the constituency development funds, not even those Not even those are being handed to the opposition parliamentarians to take care of certain little projects within the constituencies where they were voted. Not even that. Fortuna Belrose is the one in charge of those constituency development funds for Kasvis East. She knows that. The Prime Minister knows that. All of them know that. So what is Fortuna talking about? The caller to one of the callers to her show last night was on point, because she had made so many promises to the people of Kasvis East. She complained, that the roofs were the galvanized roofs were, rotting. They didn't have toilets. All of that kind of, stuff. Whether or not you were elected, you're now in government. You're in government. So the onus is on you. And if you wanted to make change to influence the outcome of the coming elections, you would have made sure, now that you're in government, you would have made sure to fulfill at least some of those promises you made, so the people would have seen you in a different light. But instead, you're saying to the people, you're not doing anything, your government is not doing anything, because the people of Kasvis East chose to elect Philip JPK and not you.
Sick.
This is crazy stuff. This is wickedness. This is evil. This is obscene. And again, this goes to my point, that with all of those UWP parliamentarians, that UWP government having that same mindset in terms of the people of St. Lucia, we should go to the polls en masse, everybody who can vote, to get rid of every single one of those people. Thanks, Tresha.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. I think we've had a call on hold for a while. Good morning.
Good morning, Trisha.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, I tuned in late to the show and I heard you commenting on Fortuna Belrose. And I'd like to make a point that there's something a simple thing we seems to be missing in that government. That this Alan Sasney government, they make no distinction between the government of St. Lucia and the UWP. That's what we have to accept. They make no distinction. They are running the government of St. Lucia like a political party. That's why we're having all what we have in there today. And I've mentioned it before, and I'll mention it again. The first sign of that from Alan Chasney was when they were renaming the Darren Sami Cricket Ground. Alan Chasney, the government of the Constitution of St. Lucia does not recognize political party in Parliament, as per protocol. Alan Chasney was political leader of the UWP. He wasn't a parliamentarian, he wasn't a senator, yet he was making how much noise because he was not given an official invitation to this renaming of the Darren cricket ground. He wasn't entitled to it. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. He wasn't entitled to no official invitation. The person who was entitled for official government invitation was Gail Rigobert, who was leader of the opposition. There's a difference between the leader of the opposition and the political leader of a party. And as simple as it is, it looks like a lot of us don't realize that. So when the government of St. Lucia is giving Fortuna Belrose stuff to go and do in the constituency under the guise of government, when it is a political project she's going on, she's doing in her political interest. Whatever she's doing is in her political interest, for partisan interests.
But I also think not just that, it is a disdain for the people of St. Lucia. It is a punishment for those, who did not see, who did not want to vote for you. And you
I agree with you, but a lot of us
want to come and talk about government and these people about Jay.
But it is sad, but a lot of us have accepted that. We have accepted that when the government in power goes, is a UWP government or is a UWP political party, and that they dare to provide service for UWP and not the government of St. Lucia. They're conflating the issue between the government of St. They have successfully, and we have to accept that to confront it. They have successfully blurred the lines between the party and the government. The party and the government is not one and the same. They have made it one and the same. That is why we're having that problem. Okay, the government of St. Lucia represents everybody, whether you vote for them or not. The UWP is for its partisan interests. So when they're using government resources for partisan interests, we have to recognize that and know how to fight against it. That's a serious problem we have. That's why this, sad to say, they've succeeded in doing that, because people say, well, I heard somebody saying about, oh, they're not going to vote for that person because they don't get a contract. You see that? A contract. This election is about how corrupt we are here. It has nothing to do with Alan Chastain, though, whether we're going to accept it or not. It is an election where the people of St. Lucia have to do some serious introspection of themselves and the values they stand for. Because if they succeed in all the corruption, all the nepotism, and they win an election there, it's an indictment on us. It's not on Alan Chastain. We have to wake up. It's not on Alan Chastain, it's on us. Okay, because they succeeded in making us accept the values of corruption and nepotism. That's my contribution today.
Caller, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
you. How corrupt we are as a country. I think you have a point there. But it also speaks to what we're seeing, I know, in Viewfort North, Vincent London, giving out money, giving out things, resources to people in the community. On what basis? On what grounds? How is he able to do that? Yes, he is the candidate, endorsed candidate for the United Workers' Party, but what is he and what ability does he have to do that in the community? When Mary Isaac is Minister of Health, how can she give out contracts in Castries South? How are these things allowed to happen? That cannot be right. Fortunate, though, I do think the one good thing about that is that you were honest, you were open. I don't know, you have a habit of calling out words and saying nothing at the same time. But this one, in that 5-minute, 10-minute, speech you gave there, you said a lot. You said a lot. And you let us know what we already knew. But hearing it come from you, it really puts things in perspective properly for me. Let's take that other call. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Trisha. How are you doing today?
I don't know, man. How are you?
I'm okay. I just want to make a few short comments.
Go ahead.
I was following the clipping or the Fortuna Belrose line of error, and I realized she said she had no confidence in herself. So if you're making it that you have no confidence in yourself to represent the people, you need your husband to be along you, so that you can be a compatible rep. Also, your husband is driving you around the place as if it's like a joyride. That doesn't look professional. You understand? You compare the people of Castries East to a sort of like slavery thing, where you say what? Give them food, let them go to work, and they go to work in the morning, then they come back for breakfast. Then lunchtime, they go and clean up the place, and then they come back, and you give them lunch, and then in the evening they go and do the last chores, and then so then what you're saying? The people they have no worth. They are no worth. Right, and I think the people of Castries East need to really look into that. People need to not look at you as beggars by the road, that when you're driving through the Marshall Road, everybody will, hey, Fortuna, mueble inside in, mueble this, mueble that. And this is the thinking of the UWP government. Because I remember as a little boy growing up in way down south, when they rejected the late Sir John Compton, and he was given Ziekouvé and all these sorts of things. That was in a very, very long time period. I don't know if you remember that. And this is one of the with the administration of Henry Giraudy. Remember at the time of Daddy Bruce and Henry Giraudy, and we used to go around the streets of Viewport. We want Daddy Bruce, we don't want Chew Stick. And let me tell you, and this is one of the reasons why the UWP government that hated the people of Viewport, and rejected them. And she used a word last night. I was listening to her. She used a word last night. Rejected. How could you say the people reject? So okay. So the word rejected is next to victimization. So you're actually saying, since you have rejected me, so now we are victimizing you. So we are going to the 11 constituency that has received us, and you that have not received us, we are rejecting you, and we are going to give you the crumbs. Or we're not even giving you the crumbs, you have to beg. You understand? And this is the thinking of the UWP organization. And this is why they have hated the people of Beaufort and other communities, even Labrie, and other communities that have supported the SLB government. You understand?
Yeah, I get you, Colonel.
I mean, these people are so vindictive in their thinking.
They are.
That they look at people as beggars, and you have to, because I see her coming through the Cassius East community. I see her coming through certain persons' homes and whatnot and whatnot. You understand? Speaking to people here and there, and then you looking at the people of Cassius.
You say you want to help, you saying that you can't. Caller, thank you very much. I appreciate your contribution. I do think you have another call on hold, though.
Okay.
Let me try to take that. Thank you. Have a good long weekend if you can, with all the curfews. Let's take the other call. We have another one. Good morning.
Yeah, morning, Trisha.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, Trisha. The fundamental thing about happening here, Trisha, I do not want to be repetitious. Dele nous joignent, ça nous vle. It was the same Alan Chasney who came and said 5 to stay alive and currently 5 to die. Could you imagine, Trisha, and all those cabinet members of Alan Chasney? It is a human cry. Could you imagine? I can say that now. I had great admiration for Fortuna Belrose until becoming a minister in the Alan Chasney government. How you can justify that and saying they rejected the people? So, pisse muna pavots out. Hey, that Trish, after the 1979-1982 debacle of the St. Lucia Labour Party, they spent almost 10 years in opposition. The 1987 general elections, there was 2 elections in the month when the St. Lucian people gave 9-8. Sir John Compton came and said he could not run 9-8. And as they say, the rest is history. That is why I am saying, Trisha, sometimes I have to stomach it because we were warned. Frederick told the St. Lucian public that Alan Chasney and Guy Joseph was the 2 most lethal things that would have happened in government. St. Lucian still went, and St. Lucian was saying that give Alan Chasney a try as though to run a country is a lottery. And today we are facing all that kind of circumstances. St. Lucians, the fortitude is in us. What is going on there in this country is criminal. It is suicidal. You have a prime minister that is using the state resources to get at his opponents. The Constitution of St. Lucia says that the elected parliamentarians, which are 17, are the ones that have to preside over the affairs of our country. And Chasney has broken all rules, all things. C'est lié. Bagayla c'est ça nous te verti nous pas de point actuellement pour ça Chasney ka bonhof. Il ka foutre ça en gauche nous pour cette vallée ça man mais même pas kay vallée parce que moi ça Alan Chasney c'est un cornatis. Merci un pile Trisha.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Let's take our final call. Good morning.
Thank you, Trisha, and good morning, St. Lucia. Let me say good morning to your previous caller there, Mr. Stanislas. Good morning to you. And Trisha, I beg you 1 minute there to give me this chance to express birthday wishes to my granddaughter, Naya, who is celebrating today. And don't mind the thing people say, 1st of April is All Fool's Day, because that child is too smart. Anyway, Kisha, what I want to the other thing is, Kisha, let's just say that speak for women in politics. There has been the clamoring about we need more women in politics. We need more women in politics. Only government side there, how many women that are there, and what do they have to show where women are concerned? To the extent that you could tell me, Mrs. Belrose, have the audacity to come on TV and radio and tell us that in order for her to function positively, she needed her husband to be driving, beg the Prime Minister for a job for her husband to drive her around, people. When we know so much of a bubbleistic thing happening within that government, nobody can account for no money. So what you're telling me there, this driver can have no fault. So this is a driver that can never be fired, can never be disciplined. Is that right?
It's not right, caller. It is not right at all.
I'm telling you. But the good thing about it, Trisha, the good thing about it, c'est quoi mon andi by cadeau. Rien qui fait en fait nous obligé par être athlète. Avec la présence là, Belrose, bon fils, comme mettre clété en Fidji nous. Avec si nous pas ça ouais, nous kay tani ni bonne journée madame.
Merci. Merci, Appeal. Mais c'est tout ces bails ça noté. Ça, we already knew these things. We knew it already. Okay, final last call. Very quickly, caller. Good morning.
Hello?
Hi, good morning, sir.
Okay, Tresha.
Yes?
I think we should be expecting a retraction from Fortuna sometime very soon.
Retraction on what, though? What exactly?
Her statements, her most recent statements. Because based on those statements, it is indicating to us that she is not fit to hold the office that she holds. And I'm hoping that she retracts her statement in that regard. If not, she puts herself at a serious disadvantage in the upcoming election. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. But I disagree. I don't want her to retract. That's what you think. Hold it there. At least we know for a fact this is what you're thinking. This is what this administration thinks of us. So later on, when you're saying no, anybody in Vieux-Fort South, Vieux-Fort North, Labrie, Denry, none of them will get anything. Castries East, Castries South, we know that for sure. And then later on, when the time comes, you will see the money being given you, because that is what they think of us. That is what they think of St. Lucians, that you can, rob people of their dignity, of anything, of everything that they deserve as citizens of St. Lucia. And, you're going to put it as, you didn't vote for me, so you rejected the United Workers' Party, so you're not giving us anything. When we are taxpayers, all of us, and that is what the hacks don't understand. That in all of this, it really is about right and wrong, and what this woman said there, what this minister said there, what this career public servant lady that I've known, and I too, and I think with one of the callers when you said that you respected her, and so did I. I mean, I remember her giving me an award for media or whatever some years back, and I was in, I'm in awe already, because I think she's the PS in sports at the time, and youth. But to hear people now say things like that, and I think the caller who mentioned, what do you do with that driver? When that driver comes in late, when that driver doesn't do his work, what you can just say, because that's the person man who pass a DNY. And the Public Service Commission on many different levels, on an individual level, just in the workplace, then on an institutional level, we're seeing the real problems that we're facing here when decisions like that are being made. Listen, we're going into a long weekend, and I guess we have things to think about. But as we go on, I do want you guys to be safe. It is a very long weekend with a lot of restrictions. Try not to get arrested. And hopefully I'll see you same time on on Tuesday. Until then, try to have a good one.
I can't stay.